Well, we've come to the last speech of the day. Thank you all for being here. If you all would give your attention to James Swygard. James. Oh, sorry, you can clap again. I apologize. James, when the time starts.
Imagine a future where tomorrow you wake up, you roll out of bed, and you ask your closet for your school uniform. The closet provides this, and once you get dressed, you head downstairs where a robot has already provided pancakes for breakfast. You hop into your driverless car, head to school, and then go as your normal school day. Once you return home and complete your homework, you realize you need some shampoo for your trip to Italy in a few days. So, back into the driverless car you go, and to the store. You walk in, grab your shampoo, and maybe some conditioner as well. And then you walk right out. There's no longer any need to pay at cash registers, because cameras recognize your face and charge your account. Then, after all that shopping you've just done, you're pretty hungry. So, you go to the nearest restaurant. You place your order on the table, and a robot comes by with your food in minutes. What if I told you that this tomorrow could actually be tomorrow? All of this is possible with the technology that we currently have at hand. From robot cooks to automated closets, artificial intelligence is making this world a reality. Over the past 15 years, AI has snuck into our daily lives, from e-commerce platforms like Amazon and eBay predicting what we want to buy, to Siri being a pocket assistant that can answer all our questions, to the GPS that provides the best and fastest route to get to our destination. Artificial intelligence has surely come a long way since the term was first coined in 1955 by John McCarthy. Today, we have robots like Mobile Lohan, which learns from human tasks to mimic them and is already able to saute shrimp, rinse the pan afterwards, and store it in the cupboard. This robot is a better chef than I am. But AI's skills go far beyond the kitchen. It's able to match or surpass doctors in diagnosing diseases. It's paving the way for driverless cars, and it's making manufacturing cheaper, safer, and more efficient. Now, AI is a computer program that mimics human intelligence. It uses three primary techniques: machine learning, deep learning, and neural networks. Machine learning processes structured data, categories for inputs and for outputs. Think of the last time you posted on Instagram. Your post goes through a censorship algorithm that takes your post and puts it into several input buckets. For example, these include word type, word frequency, the topic of the post, and the history of the posting account. Then the machine learning algorithm takes all of this information and recognizes patterns it sees there and puts it into one of several output buckets. For example, post should be censored, should not be censored, or it should be sent to a human for further evaluation. Take these two posts, for example. This is going to blow up the internet with a microphone emoji after it, versus I'm going to blow up the White House with a bomb emoji after it. Now, both of these posts use the phrase blow up, but let's say the first has a picture of Taylor Swift above it, and it's referencing her new album that's coming out in a few weeks. The second, however, could be a legitimate terrorist threat. Artificial intelligence has to take all of this information into account, not just understanding the definitions of words, but also the context as a whole. As a subset of machine learning, deep learning works quite similarly, but it has fewer categories. Have you ever wondered how your phone is able to recognize your face and the faces of all your friends? Well, here's how it works. A general facial recognition algorithm goes through your photos and sees that you have 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. That means you must be a face, or a person with a face. And then the deep learning algorithm comes in. It recognizes those unique characteristics of an individual's face and then compares those characteristics to every other face in your photo library, recognizing you, your friends, and all the strangers in the background of your pictures. Finally, there's neural networks, foundation of all artificial intelligence. These neural networks consist of layers, 3 different types. There's a layer for inputs, hidden or intermediate layers, and a layer for outputs. Each layer consists of several nodes, which, like train stations, are connected to all of the other nodes in that next layer. Similar to the game of telephone, where you pass a phrase on from person to person, and you see how similar the phrase is at the end. But instead of deteriorating into unintelligible madness, artificial intelligence and neural networks refine the data layer by layer, so you receive a precise interpretation of that information. Now, how do people use artificial intelligence? One of the most common ways people direct human AI usage is the large language model, most common of which is ChatGPT. Now, do you remember those nodes? The interpretation of the phrases in the game of telephone? Well, ChatGPT has 1.7 trillion of them. Now, it uses this extreme number of manipulations to take your prompt in whatever media form you like, from text, image, video, and audio, to provide an optimized and tailored response. Now, to learn more, I went to the source, and ChatGPT answered. Because large language models are proficient in understanding how words connect, they were able to determine the separate parts of the query, which in my prompt included how do large language models work, formal answer, and several others. Because large language models have analyzed billions of data points, billions of words, it takes these machine learning and deep learning algorithms to understand language, to pinpoint requests, and provide a framework for a response. Then the neural networks come into play. They fill in that framework and provide a sensible as well as helpful answer to your question by providing the best next word in that answer. This all works similarly to how we would answer a question, as we draw upon the information that we already know when we're asked a question. We use our knowledge to provide an answer. Now that we have a more basic construct of AI that's more fully understood, it's time to examine artificial intelligence in education. Unfortunately, some students may choose to use large language models and AI as a shortcut to complete their homework for them. This harms both their reputation and their learning ability. You see, large language models glean its information from throughout the internet, and not all of them cite their sources properly, and this leads to plagiarism, which is the theft of intellectual property. Now, while it may seem that AI is a roadblock to education, it could actually revolutionize the field. Saul Khan, the founder of Khan Academy, states that AI is probably the biggest positive transformation that education has ever seen. It's able to identify and address the strengths and weaknesses of pupils, basically becoming a private tutor when a teacher is unavailable. Now, as the primary adopters of artificial intelligence in education, the public school system and the public school teachers, they focus more on productivity. On the other hand, us, Veritas, the classical Christian school, we focus on the purpose behind education: truth, goodness, and beauty. But with this education model focused on the ancients, focused on what happened in the past, is there really room to incorporate something new, something modern, something like AI? In its only written stance on artificial intelligence, the Veritas Handbook states that the use of artificial intelligence to generate and arrange ideas, argumentation, or any form of academic work also constitutes plagiarism. While plagiarism is a serious abuse of artificial intelligence, we need to expand the conversation to the proper use of AI as a student, an employee, and a child of God. With this rapid advancement of artificial intelligence, we face a choice. Do we strive after peak efficiency, or do we retain our independence from machines? As students, our schooling is intrinsic to our forming of convictions, and it's a place where we further our creative and critical thinking in a world where technology is taking an increasing amount of that role. So, should classical Christian schools continue in the ways they always have been, or should they incorporate artificial intelligence into their education? Classical Christian schools should teach students how to use AI, but not incorporate it with classwork because of AI's inevitability, because of its benefits, and because of the classical Christian foundation that would be provided. So, what would teaching students how to use AI look like? It would be a class that takes place once or twice a month that would discuss what makes up artificial intelligence, what are its benefits and shortcomings, what are different models of AI. This would be particularly concerned with the large language model and the topics of plagiarism, formation of prompts, and fact-checking, because unfortunately, large language models are not always right. This is called a hallucination, a seemingly true statement that is actually false. While it is crucial for students to learn how to use AI, it is crucial for them to not use it at home. Think of the strongest person at your gym. Or, if you don't go to a gym, think of Will Chippendale. This person has spent countless years at the gym, spending thousands of hours working out. They've altered their diet and they've reaped the benefits. They've only gained this strength after years of dedication and training. And the school is the gym for the brain. It's a place where students acquire, practice, and strengthen their facts and skills. However, students are only able to receive assistance if those trainers, other students, teachers, or artificial intelligence are the ones that are supporting the learning, rather than the ones doing the heavy lifting themselves. On the other hand, artificial intelligence in the workforce is similar to someone moving into a new home. You're still carrying significant weight, but the goal is to complete a task, transport those items to a new location, rather than getting stronger. And people ask for assistance all the time when they're moving. And this enables the new homeowner to focus on more important tasks, like telling people where to put the furniture. Over 1 year ago, artificial intelligence became a household discussion topic. Nowadays, it is far more than a dinner conversation. Artificial intelligence is everywhere, from our newest phones with Galaxy Assistant and Samsung, Google Gemini coming to Apple, and Microsoft Copilot in all Windows devices. The spark of AI has caught, and the flame is only spreading. In this future, someone who has not learned to operate artificial intelligence will be at a disadvantage. Think of the first people to hook up a plow to an ox. It may have been a struggle at first, ensuring that the ox moves in the right direction, and making sure that the plow is able to handle that much force. But these people, they were able to cover far more land in less time with less effort than if they did it by hand. Whether we like it or not, production is what makes the world go round. And in this sad reality, employers have to deny hardworking and even experienced individuals job positions because they simply aren't as productive as a college student who's tech savvy. Now, if you were an employer, wouldn't you rather to have someone that is able to accomplish more work in less time? Genesis 2:15 reads, "The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and keep it." Man was created to work, and artificial intelligence is a tool that can help with that. Here at Veritas, we learn for the sake of learning. We're not just be able to regurgitate information on a test, but we're able to apply our knowledge to virtue when the time comes to use that skill. This is how Veritas would teach their students how to use AI. Because the better that the students are at using a tool, the more beautiful creations they're able to form. These elementary uses of artificial intelligence would be similar to an entry-level assistant in the office. It's able to summarize documents, respond to emails, create websites, and countless other menial tasks. This alone has saved employees over 2 hours a week. But artificial intelligence is capable of so much more. Because of its ability to absorb millions of points of information in mere seconds, this leads to more accurate predictions. Allows for doctors to account for all of a patient's symptoms and compares them to a database of every recorded disease. Allows investors to analyze every uptick and downturn of the stock market, all the while comparing it to current events from around the globe. This allows for meteorologists to collect every point of information from air pressure to wind speed to create more accurate maps and forecasts, because it would actually be helpful if we knew what the weather would be when we stepped outside. In this increasingly online society, imagine a family with screen time restrictions. While those children may not appreciate it in the short term, it will benefit in the long run because they won't use technology as much when they're outside the realm of their parents. If there was no restriction on technology use in this family, addictions could develop. But if technology use was entirely prohibited, these students would not know how to use technology in a technological world. The AI literacy class would provide a moral, classical Christian foundation for these students with restrictions and allowances for AI use, provide the parameters for the student. Proverbs 22:6 states, "Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it." I want to ask you a question. Why do you attend Veritas? It's either because you or your parents desire something about the classical Christian education. And it's this model of education that is the way we should go, so that even when we're old, we will not depart from it. It's these ideologies that will ground the student in a proper and general use of artificial intelligence as they extend into more specializations of AI in the workforce or college. With general uses of AI being primarily concerned with research, how would you research a point of view without moral bias? You would collect as many sources as you can get a hold of and compile it into one document of the pros and cons of a topic. Large language models take this to the extreme, culminating thousands, if not millions, of points of view all into one. At their core, large language models are designed to be an unbiased tool that will reflect the intentions of the user. Unfortunately, this allows in evil hands for someone to spread misinformation or generate pornographic images. But with an AI literacy class, Veritas would teach its students a virtuous use of AI, which would allow students to explore new areas of study they had no idea about and enhance their creativity. In this age of entertainment, movies like Terminator and Avengers: Age of Ultron pose AI as a villain, as the ones that are trying to overthrow humanity. This scenario is highly unlikely, but something that is more possible is a world like WALL-E. A world where robots pamper humans to the point of where people lead worthless lives. A point where people can't do anything on their own. So, with the increase of AI competence in our jobs, are people going to become overly dependent on this machine? This would look like someone who forgets how to do their own work because they've designated that task to someone or something else, like AI. But we must remember that artificial intelligence and large language models are most productive when they're used by a person. Think of programming. From the little I've dabbled in it, requires knowledge of two things. Knowledge of the programming language and the knowledge of the problem you're trying to solve. Artificial intelligence works in the same way. Works best when someone actually knows how to use it and when they know the subject of study. Because of the strength of human-AI collaboration, we need to have a human in the loop. This would look like someone who validates inputs and outputs, assigns the artificial intelligence tasks, and ensures that all information is unbiased. As classical Christians, we need to defend this virtuous use of AI. Because as C.S. Lewis writes, good philosophy must exist, if for no other reason, because bad philosophy needs to be answered. But would an AI literacy class be virtuous if it increases the temptation of a student to cheat and increases the student's ability to cheat as well? Well, this temptation is already present and it's increasing. Large language models are only one search away, and even on some search engines, they're simply on the sidebar. With time, students are going to be students are going to lead online lives. They're going to go onto their computer, and large language models are going to be right in front of them. This means that this temptation is unavoidable, and an explanation of why students should not use large language models to cheat that would be provided by an AI literacy class. This would, if anything, decrease that temptation. In addition, this class is not one to teach students how to write using AI, but simply to garner as much information as possible. And finally, teachers are going to need to employ AI detection and prevention techniques regardless of an AI literacy class. Cheating using large language models is a threat to education, and no AI literacy class, whether it's used or not used, is going to change that. With this raging fire of artificial intelligence, we need to know what to do. We need to use AI wisely. You need to ask yourself, before you use a large language model, if I don't use this here, would I have improved my writing, my researching, or my knowledge? If the answer is no, go right ahead, use it. But we still need to have a moral compass to prevent ourselves from using AI as a shortcut to complete the tasks that we want to do. We also need to work on fact-checking, whether it's information we find on the internet or whether it's information provided by large language models. We need to ensure that that information is correct. But finally, we can't be afraid of artificial intelligence. It's a helpful tool, so we must use it. We don't want artificial intelligence to create unproductive and lazy students like in the world of WALL-E. But because of AI's inevitability, its benefits, and the moral foundation that a classical Christian education would provide, an AI literacy class would prepare students with virtue as they head into a technological society. Fire is powerful, provides light, provides heat, it provides energy, but in unskilled or evil hands, it's dangerous. Classical Christian schools need to teach their students how to wield the flame of AI as they enter this dark and unknown world of technology use. But if artificial intelligence is used well, it furthers the reach of human intelligence and perpetuates the truth, the goodness, and the beauty of God and of His creation. Thank you.
Questions for James?
Will.
Are there examples in other schools or colleges where they're using these types of classes, and if so, have you seen benefits from that?
So Will asked if there are any colleges or other schools that are incorporating AI literacy classes, and are there any benefits into it? I would say that the classical Christian school, they don't really have any of this. It's more in the public school system, and it's not a specific class. It's primarily kind of a literature teacher that teaches the students how to use artificial intelligence. And there's no concrete statistics on this, but those teachers have written kind of that they need to explain to students when and when not to use artificial intelligence, so they kind of prevent that temptation for cheating, or at least prevent that quantity of cheating. Mr. Brewer.
Have you encountered the myth of the ring of Gyges? Later writes about it.
Yes, the one that turns them invisible.
Yeah. So this guy puts on this ring, it turns him invisible, he finds it at the ground. He's a relatively virtuous person before. Once he puts on the ring, though, he realizes he can get away with anything. And over the course of the myth, his virtue degrades. Could we interpret, so when I approach AI, I want to see that in the ring of Gyges, where it leads a level of anonymity that can, like, the temptation is too great to vice. And assuage my fears as a teacher. My concern is that the temptation for cheating or for using AI immorally in other ways is just too great, we should throw the whole thing out.
Well, the question was, is the temptation too great for students to cheat? So should we just do away with it altogether? We live in a world that is headed towards artificial intelligence. If you've looked at NVIDIA's stock, 1 year ago it was kind of in the 500 range of stock prices. A few months ago it was number 3, and this all happened in 1 year. The world is investing in artificial intelligence, and it's not going to go away. So on online platforms with search engines and everything, large language models and artificial intelligence is going to become increasingly prevalent. And really anyone who has access to technology, to a phone, to a computer, they're going to have access to AI. And that's why I'm suggesting something like an AI literacy class, that because we can't get rid of AI, we need to teach our students how to use it well, how to use it properly, so that they don't have as much of that temptation to use it in a harmful manner.
Wouldn't AI be a little bit heretical as it's imitating human intelligence, which is in the image of God?
The question was, is artificial intelligence heretical because it mimics human intelligence? I would say that the most useful creations of mankind are things that mimic nature, mimic God's creation. Think of a plane, for example. We wouldn't be able to fly across the ocean if we didn't mimic the capabilities of birds and their wings. That God's creation is beautiful, that it contains these useful clues for us to be able to create inventions based off of nature, so that we can use those tools to aid us kind of when our own abilities fall short. Like, we can't fly over the Atlantic Ocean, so we created a plane to do that for us. Good work.
I completely agree with what you're saying, and the fact that we need to teach people how to use it because it exists. But with so many things at stake, such as like jobs, learning, and like a world like Wall-E, I think we're talking about, would you rather AI not exist at all?
This question is kind of, with this artificial intelligence threat to human jobs, would I rather that AI not be a thing at all? I have thought a lot about this question, and honestly, I'd say yes. I think that we need to return to kind of our human roots, but this world kind of doesn't like to do that. We like to kind of increasingly move further and further away from our creation. But we as humans, we need to be in the world, not of it. And Mrs. Radke is part of a group that kind of is creating Christian mindsets for AI, Christian mission AI. And this is what we as Christians need to do. We need to enter this field, and we need to create technologies like this to provide tools for missionaries and servants of the Lord so that we can better equip ourselves to enter this world of technology use. Ms. Nevin.
You make a very practical argument, so I'm going to ask you a practical question. The schedule has changed this year. We have less time for all our classes. What is less important that we're going to get rid of in order to do this? Part two, if we can, why is this more important than maybe like a cooking class or other very practical things?
Yes. So her question was, where are we going to find room in the curriculum for a class like this? And is it less practical than something like a cooking class? Well, at the start of this year, we had a conversatio meeting every week. And we've cut that in half. So that's what I'm proposing, that we take those other two classes, or just one of them every month, and have the AI literacy class in that circumstance. And as for the practicality of AI, I would say that artificial intelligence is a tool that's going to be present in all of our lives. Cooking, it is present, but that's what electives are for. That electives are there for us to kind of enjoy skills like that. I was in the baking elective this past trimester, and I really enjoyed it. But because of AI's prevalence in all of our lives, that's why it's in the actual class schedule of the week rather than as an elective. Yes, Kevin.
The future you proposed at the beginning of your thesis contained a huge amount of AI monitoring of humans and observation of humans. It sounds like you are expecting us to live like lab rats. What possible reason can you give me to accept that future as an observer?
So her question is, with the world I proposed at the beginning of my speech, how do we as people kind of submit to that sort of monitoring? I kind of use that as an introduction. I don't necessarily support kind of the facial recognition and then charging kind of your credit balance on that. I think that that is kind of a government or a store overstepping its bounds. I think, though, that we need to further AI law, that the governments really need to step into kind of the realm of artificial intelligence and really lay down the law, make rules so that privacy is not infringed upon and that people know that they're safe in this world when AI is a factor, and in evil hands it is dangerous. Russell.
So AI can now write code for people if you just say it. And so it seems like the goal of AI is to make it as user friendly as possible. Is a classroom needed to so that everyone
Yes, so Russell's question was, AI is designed to be as easy to use as possible. So do we need a class to learn how to use artificial intelligence? I would say to that is that we need to learn classical Christian virtues alongside with AI. That if we use the two together, if we get teachers to explain how and when to use it, we're going to understand kind of a better use of artificial intelligence. Whereas on our own, we could just kind of take it in any direction we want. We don't have that moral compass that's provided for us. So we need kind of teachers, people who are older and wiser, who know better than us, to kind of lead us into the right moral direction. Mrs. Graham.
This year we've read a number of authors who have given us really clear warnings of what they call a technocratic state. That would be people like C.S. Lewis, like Tolkien, Hannah Arendt, George Orwell. Other people I can think of are Simone Weil and Tolkien and Eliot and Lois Lowry. They've all kind of given us this really picture of what it would look like to live in a technocratic state. So I guess my question for you is what you're describing as this AI future that's coming, whether we like it or not, is that the same as a technocratic state? And if so, how would you have if you could have a conversation across time and space with them and say, how would you tell them that they were wrong?
Can you further explain what a technocratic state is? Just a few.
Sure. So when you were talking about facial recognition, and we looked at examples of in 1984 where there's this monitoring of human activity, and then and there's all kinds of intrusions into our private lives, and there's and even in the NICE in that hideous strength, there's this kind of technology out there that's affecting everybody, but there's only a very small few people who are behind that technology. We did talk about how there have to be humans kind of at the base of it, or the origin of it, but we don't know who those people are or what their moral state is. So what is it that we could, how do we recognize these two things?
So her question was, how do we avoid being in this state of constant observation by technology, constant observation by humans?
Well, to the point where it's managing our lives.
Okay. So how do we not let AI manage our lives then? So that's what we need to work on right now. That artificial intelligence and large language models, they're a new thing. They're able to be changed. That just like a child when he's growing up, that's when he's most able to be formed into something by their parents. And that's a good thing. So large language models are kind of in that moment of change, that they are valuable, that we need to, as Christians, to mold artificial intelligence into something that's not like that, that we are not at a state like that right now. And unfortunately, that is a possibility. So we as classical Christians need to enter this world of AI, to enter kind of AI, being the ones that manage it, so that we don't let that world happen and use AI well.
Last question.
Jeff.
James, how does AI play a role in the decline of intentionality in photography due to the rise of art in video games resulting from capital punishment? Keeping in mind the question of caffeine versus steroids in the Christian feminist movement and the monetary benefits of marriage due to the improved sex because of the avoidance of contraceptives. Additionally, should introverts be involved in this change through intentional solidarity and foster care in the physician-assisted suicide? How can self-denial and personality tests bring back manners to American extremists and keep art out of social media while ending music consumption and encouraging the purchase of physical media? And will this keep in mind the true value of music, keep iPhones away from children, and discourage television while drawing the band towards the theater? Being wary of VAR, how can this help people to mean what they say and say what they mean? And in light of this, how will principled pluralism, deconstructionism, civil liberties, and counterterrorism play a role? Will we be able to keep in mind the importance of cooking and transubstantiation within the context of the digital classroom and are failing to practice the Sabbath? Due to the rampant genetic testing, will we be able to properly keep this in mind and be able to use our spiritual gifts to recognize when it is appropriate to tip? And will the true crime be able to properly distinguish between the use of contemporary worship rock and the classical hymns? Should parents spank their children when they get home? And a follow-up question, can you give us a tutorial on how to walk?
Well, I'd say the answer to that question is yes. Thank you for surviving another year of Thesis.